Hello, everybody. Welcome to another live stream here on Woo English. As always, I am Hamza and I will be your host again on this live stream. And today we are going to have part two of our live stream of our listening live stream about the story of the Berlin Wall. I hope the image and the sound are clear. I see that they are cutting a little bit, so I hope that on your side things are clear. I hope things are clear are on your side. All right. So as I said, today we'll be talking about the second part of the Berlin Wall. So last Tuesday, we did a listening session or listening live session where we listened to one chapter from one of our videos that talked about the Berlin Wall in Germany after the Second World War. And after that, we tried to answer some questions, learn some vocabulary, and have a discussion. Today we are going to do the same, but today my special gift for you is to have two chapters rather than just one. So we are going to have two chapters to talk about the. Yes, Amin is here. So we are going to cover two chapters, and this will be the first time to cover two chapters in our live stream. So Amin, how are you? I am doing well. Thank you, Amin, for asking. What about yourself? The laptop is a little bit slow today, unfortunately. Last time, for those of you who were here, if you remember, we talked about uh, life in East Berlin. So we are going to cover like this again, or we are going to remind about what we have seen last time. So let me just the west, night, after the fall, right? Let me just like find the right chapter that we are going to have. Reem, hello, Reem. Welcome, guys. I can hear you, but the camera stops. Yeah, it was me who was not moving. So, how are you doing, guys? How are you? So, let me share with you what we are going to see today. So, as I said today, we are going to see part two of the Berlin Wall. And as I promised, we are going to cover two chapters today rather than only one. And I want to start with something. I want to start with a little quiz. This is the same quiz that we did last time, but just for those of you who were not here from last time, I want you to be like in the picture. So we talked about the Berlin Wall, and let's see some questions about the Berlin Wall. What do we already know about the Berlin Wall? So when was the Berlin Wall built? From what you remember last time? So I see that there. Oh, nice. Today there are people joining from X, which is something that we haven't seen in a while. So welcome, people of X. All right, I'm just checking for the right chapter that we are going to cover today. Unfortunately, my laptop turned off out of a sudden. All right, so let me see what you guys are. Sorry, this is my first time to follow your lives. I have no idea about this topic. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about our channel. So Woo English, whether you are watching us on Facebook, on Instagram, or on YouTube or on X, Woo English is a channel that teaches English through stories. This is our specialty. This is our idea. So the whole idea of the channel is that we teach English through stories. All right. Lagging and the video is not stable. All right, I see. It's very unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's always doing this. So let me probably change my internet and hopefully it's gonna work. So as I said, we teach English through stories, and the story that we covered last time was the story of the Berlin Wall. So you will find videos. We share 2 videos every day on our channel, but every 2 times or 2 times every week, we do live streams in which I can interact with you. And in these live streams, we do a listening session, right? So we listen to one chapter from one of our videos, depending on what you guys liked. And we try to discuss it live like we are doing right now. So I have a little quiz for you. I'm going to try to check the internet and to fix the lagging right now. Amin says it's D, so I see Amin is has a very good memory. We said that the Berlin Wall, it was a wall that was built after the Second World War, and it was built in Berlin in Germany. And the wall basically separated Berlin into 2 sides. East Berlin, we talked about just one side of this wall, which was the West or the East Berlin, which was controlled by Russia, by the Soviet Union at the time. So let me share with you some pictures that will allow you to understand what we are looking at. So this is the wall, right? I think this is a very recent pic. Oh, no, it was a picture from that time. So this is a wall that separated Berlin into 2 sides, East Berlin and West Berlin. East Berlin was controlled by the Soviet Union, while the West Berlin was controlled by America, by France, and by Britain. So the East were really living in a present, basically. So they could not do anything. We saw last time that if they wanted to apply for a job, they should ask for permission from the police. So the police or the government will decide what job you will have. What caused the division? So why did they divide Berlin? Why did they divide it? The video. Benedict, hi. Andra, hi. I see new faces today. How is the video and the sound, please, guys? How is the video and the sound? Can you tell me about the video and the sound? Because I'm not sure. I'm not watching the video. So I rely on you guys to tell me how is the video and the sound. I can tell that it's lagging a little bit. I can see that. So is it too bad that I need to change the internet, or what do you think? I mean, it still remembers what we did last time. I can tell. All right. I just want to check one thing. I'm not sure. Economic collapse. All right. So A, economic collapse. There is world war. Though I'm not an expert in streams, because sometimes it is very tough to listen. I say, if you can, Mister, maybe you should. There is a time interruption in sound. All right. I can see that there is some issues with the video, but we will go on and we will see if things will fix themselves. Yeah. So the reason why Berlin was divided into two parts was basically because of the Cold War. So the Cold War, or the Cold War tension between the West and the Soviet Union and China from one side. So that's basically why it was divided. When did the Berlin Wall fall? When did it come to an end? I'm just checking because I just heard that we are going to listen to today. I'm not sure what's the problem here. Okay, so we can start from here. Cold War. One. Amin is doing a great job. I forgot this part. So the wall fell in 1981, and this is, by the way, one of the chapters that we are going to cover today. What kind of government ruled in the East Berlin? And this is the most important thing that we talked about last time, which is East Berlin. So last time we focused on East Berlin, what was happening in East Berlin. Was it a democracy? Was it socialism and communism? Was it a monarchy, meaning that they have a king, or was it capitalism? B. Amin remembers this one very well. I think the end of 19. No, it was before that, actually, Reem. It was way before that. By the way, so again, this live stream is just to remind you of what we talked about last time about the Berlin Wall, right? And please, of course, don't forget to like the video. I know we haven't even started yet, but if you could like this video so that more people can join, that would be very, very kind of you. It's always helpful. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe. You will definitely enjoy what we do in our channel. So again, as I said, I've seen new people today. So this channel is dedicated to learning English through stories. We have plenty of stories. We post 2 stories every single day, and each story is 1 hour to 2 hours long, and you can listen to them while you are doing whatever in your day. And yeah, so that will be like very nice to listen to a story in English. You can learn vocabulary without even knowing, and this is learning vocabulary and learning language in context. All right, you are not learning like a vocabulary which is isolated. You are learning vocabulary inside the context. That's the idea behind our channel. So I'm gonna reveal the answer. Of course, it was a communist ruling. So let's see these words. These are 4 words that we are going to hear in the chapter that we are going to listen to. So we want to understand them before we start listening. So permit, confined, intercepted, and definite. These are 4 words that you are going to hear in our next listening activity. We need to understand them. So you have here 4 definitions. I want you to tell me which definition belongs to which question or to which word. Let me see what Amin says. Exactly. It was a socialist. Exactly. It was socialist. So let me remove this one so that you can see well. Permit, confined or confide, intercepted, and deafening. Deafening. So Amin says number 1 is intercepted. Number 2, it's deafening. Number 3, it's or number 2 is permit. Number 3 is deafening, and number 4 is confined. I really hope that you can hear me and see me well. So let me go back. All right, let me show you the real answers, and let me explain to you each word again, because we are going to hear these words in the chapter that we are going to listen to. So intercepted is when you send something, but it is stopped from reaching you, right? Imagine I sent you a letter and someone blocked that letter from reaching you. That's interception. Number 2, permit is a document, a paper that someone gives you to allow you to do something. Number 3, deafening. Deafening, a deaf person is a person who cannot hear. So people who cannot hear, we call them deaf people. So a deaf person cannot hear. So if something is deafening, it's so loud it will make you deaf, right? Imagine you hear someone like screaming. That scream is deafening, meaning it makes you deaf. It makes you not able to hear. And finally, to confide, if I confide you with something, it means I tell you a secret. All right, I tell you a secret. Let's see if you understood them well and use them in these sentences. I have 4 sentences again. I want you to use these words to show me that you understood them well. Letters between families were often something by the Stasi. The Stasi was the police in East Germany or in East Berlin. Synonym for interpret. Which one? Which one, Reem? Which one? Interpret. Which one do you think is the synonym for interpret? Don't forget to like. Amin says intercepted. So intercept, we said, is when you block something from reaching its goal. And these words, we will see them in today's listening. Intercepted, no. Intercepted means it's blocked. And you will understand it in the first sentence here. So, letters. So imagine back in the days in East Berlin, if someone sends his brother a letter, for example, it was intercepted, meaning it was blocked by the Stasi. So the police will block the letter from reaching your brother. They will read it first to see if everything is okay in the letter, and then they will allow it to reach your brother. Number 2, so if you needed permission to do something, then you need a permit. Number 3, the sound of the explosion. There are explosions like when a bomb, for example, explodes. What happens is that it's so loud, it will make you deaf, right? It will make you deaf. So it's deafening. And finally, Anna wanted to in her friend, but she was afraid of being reported. Back in East Berlin, if you want to tell your friend a secret, they can tell it to the police and you can be in big trouble. So to tell someone a secret is to confide to them. Okay, so we're gonna go to the first listening for today, and I want to share with you the 3 rules that we always do. So the 3 rules are: listen carefully, because after you listen, I'm gonna ask you questions. Number 2, if anything is not clear for you, make sure to ask a question. I'm gonna make sure that exactly. I can explain. So if you don't understand something while we are listening, you can ask me. Number 3, don't forget to like this video. So let's go, without further ado, let's go and let's listen to the first chapter for today, of course. All right. So as I said, this is our channel, right? This is our channel, WooEnglish. And as you can see, the whole story is 2 hours long, but we are going to listen just to one chapter, all right? So the chapter starts with when the wall went up in 1961. It It didn't divide just a city, it divided life. So it divided everyone. So let's listen.
Families who had lived close for years were suddenly separated by concrete and wire. Fathers couldn't see their children. Brothers couldn't visit their sisters. Grandparents couldn't hold their grandchildren. I couldn't hug my mother. I couldn't kiss my father good night. That was how one East Berliner described it. The wall tore families apart, and for many, the pain was unbearable. Before the wall, people moved freely between East and West Berlin. A father working in the West could come home to his family in the East every evening. Friends visited each other's homes for dinner. Cousins played together in the parks. But when the wall was built, everything changed overnight. Roads were blocked, trains stopped running, borders were closed. Families woke up to a new reality. They were trapped on opposite sides. For some, it happened so suddenly that they didn't have time to say goodbye.
This was very sad. So basically, they were living in one city, and one day there was a wall between them, and some people did not even get to say goodbye to their families. So parents were separated from their children, brothers were separated from their sisters, and Reem asked me if tore apart is to be separated exactly, especially separated with force.
Anya, a young woman in East Berlin, had spent the weekend at her aunt's house in the West. She returned home on Sunday night, not knowing it would be her last trip. The next morning, the wall was there. Anya tried to call her aunt, but the phone lines were cut. Months passed, then years. Anya never saw her aunt again. For those separated by the wall, letters became lifelines. Families wrote to each other often, but the letters weren't private. In East Berlin, the Stasi read every word before delivering them.
Yeah, so they were not free to send letter. The Stasi, the police would intercept. Do you remember the word intercept? They would intercept the letter, they would block them, read them, and then allow them to go.
People had to be careful about what they said. Dear Mother, one letter began, we are well. The children are growing fast. We think of you every day. The writer wanted to say more, to share her anger and sadness, but she didn't dare.
They could not express their true feelings, that they don't like the wall. If you criticize the wall, you can be in big trouble.
Sometimes letters didn't arrive at all. They were intercepted or lost. Families would wait for weeks, hoping for news. When no letter came, the silence was deafening.
This is a very nice expression, by the way. We said that loud noises can make you deaf, but here it's a metaphor. This is a stylish use of deafening. So they said the silence was deafening. So the silence was loud. All right. So there was a lot of silence.
Phone calls were rare. East Berliners needed special permission to call the West. Even when they were allowed, the calls were expensive and short. A man in West Berlin saved money for weeks to call his father in the East. When the connection finally went through, his father's voice was shaky. Are you okay? The son asked. Yes, the father replied, but his words sounded hollow. The call lasted only 3 minutes before the line was cut. 3 minutes wasn't enough. Visits were even harder. In the early years of the wall, East Berliners weren't allowed to visit the West at all. For West Berliners, visiting the East required long waits and special permits. Even then, the visits were closely watched. A grandmother from West Berlin applied for a permit to see her grandchildren in the East. After months of waiting, she was allowed a 2-day visit. When she arrived, she hugged them tightly, afraid to let go. She brought sweets and toys, small gifts from the West. But when she left, the goodbye was heartbreaking. Her grandchildren stood at the window, waving until she was out of sight. "When will you come back?" they asked. She didn't know. The wall didn't just separate people physically. It created emotional walls, too. Over time, some families grew apart. A brother in the West might write less often. A cousin in the East might stop answering letters.
So they were separated by the wall, and as time went by, they started contacting each other
It
less
wasn't
and
because they
less.
didn't care. It was because the separation hurt too much. One man in West Berlin stopped calling his parents in the East. "It breaks my heart every time I hear their voices," he said. "It's easier not to call." For many, the wall wasn't just a barrier of concrete. It was a barrier of silence. But even in the darkest times, families found ways to stay connected. One father in East Berlin sent secret messages to his daughter in the West. He wrote them on the back of family photos.
So he would send her photos, and in the back he would write
"We are
messages.
okay," he wrote in tiny letters. "We love you." Another woman baked cakes for her brother in the West. She hid notes inside, under the icing. The cakes were sent by courier, and somehow the notes always reached him. These small acts of love kept hope alive.
So imagine.
Holidays were the hardest. Christmas, birthdays, weddings, all the moments families should have spent together were marked by absence. On Christmas Eve in West Berlin, a family gathered around their tree. They sang carols and opened presents, but their hearts were heavy. Their grandparents were in the East, celebrating alone. In East Berlin, a father lit a candle and placed it in the window. It faced West Berlin, where his daughter lived. He hoped she could see it. "This candle is for you," he whispered. The wall also brought fear. East Berliners worried about being watched. If they spoke too openly about missing their loved ones, the Stasi might suspect them of wanting to escape.
Yeah, and a lot of people tried and managed to escape, but not everybody. So again, let me put you in the picture. This is Berlin after the Second World War. Berlin was divided into two. The West was controlled by America, France, and the Britain, and it was great. Life there was like living in America. It was very good. In the East, life was very difficult because it was controlled by the USSR, the Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union made life in East Berlin, the east side of Berlin, very difficult. They would read your letters. If you say that you are against the Soviet Russia or that you are against the wall, they would punish you for life. And you would have read before that sometimes you cannot get a job because your father said something bad about communism or about socialism. So it was very difficult there.
Some people were arrested simply for writing letters or talking about the West.
This is what we said. So even if you talk about the West, you can get arrested.
One woman in East Berlin hadn't heard from her sister in the West for months. She confided in a friend, saying,
She confided, meaning she told her a secret.
"I'm worried. What if something has happened to her?" A week later, she was questioned by the Stasi. After that, she stopped talking about her sister. For children, the wall was confusing. A little boy in East Berlin asked his mother, "Why can't I see Grandpa anymore?" His mother didn't know how to explain. She simply said, "There's a wall." The boy didn't understand. "Can we climb over it?" he asked. His mother shook her head. "No, we can't." "But why?" he asked again. She didn't have an answer. As the years passed, the pain of separation grew. Some families never saw each other again. Others were reunited only after decades. One woman in West Berlin waited 28 years to see her brother from the East.
Can you imagine 28 years? So if like she lost him and he was 20 years old, she would meet him again and he is almost 50 years old.
When the wall finally came down in 1989, they hugged for hours, tears streaming down their faces. "I never stopped thinking of you," she said. The wall didn't just divide a city, it divided hearts. But even in the face of separation, love endured. Families held on to hope. They found ways to stay connected, even when the wall tried to keep them apart. And through it all, they dreamed of the day they would be together again. Chapter 8.
We listen to today. As I said, we are going to listen to 2 chapters today. A special gift for the end of the week. So you have listened, and I hope you have listened carefully, because I'm going to ask you some questions. The first question: before the Berlin Wall, families moved freely between East and West Berlin. Is that true? Is that false? From the text that we have just listened to. Musa, hi. Arda, where is Arda? I didn't see anyone. So, is this statement true or false? Muhammad Faisal says true. Reem says true. And let me see. Musa says false. Musa, you have just came back. All right. So sure. Actually, so here we are talking before the wall. So before the wall, of course, people could move freely between East and West Berlin because the city was quite open. Letters between families in East and West Berlin were private. No one reads them. Were private. Is that true or is that false? Again, from the text that we have just read. And please don't forget to like, because when you like, YouTube says, well, a lot of people are liking this video, so maybe I should recommend it to more and more people. So if you don't mind, like this video. I really appreciate it. Where are people of X? I can see that 3 people are watching from X, formerly Twitter. I hate that they changed the name of Twitter to X, because whenever you say X, due to interception, Benedict, very good. I love the name, by the way. Benedict de Spinoza. I love the name. Exactly. I love that you use the word intercept in your sentence. Yes. So yeah, they were not privacy at all. So if you send a letter, they would read it, because the Stasi, the police at the time, the police were called the Stasi. So they would open, intercept, block them, and read them before they deliver them. Families in East Berlin could easily visit their loved ones in the West during the early years of the wall. Is that true or is that false? In the very beginning, let me check if you were really listening carefully. The next chapter we are going to listen to is a happy chapter because we are going to listen to the chapter the wall. True, false, false. So I say Muhammad Faisal says false. Musa says false. Reem says true. Let's check then. Amin, what is Amin? It is false. East Berlin were not allowed to visit the West at all. The West, however, could visit the East because no one wants to stay in the East. So the West, they could visit the East. Why? Because they don't want to stay there. But the East, if they visited the West, they would never come back. So they were never allowed. People in East Berlin, again, East Berlin, that's Soviet Russia or the Soviet Union, stopped talking openly about their relatives in the West for fear of being arrested. Is that true or is that false? Separation, exactly. Before false, it wasn't allowed. Yes. So people in the West, they could visit the East if they had permission. But people in the East, if they manage to go to the West, they will never come back. Muhammad Faisal says this is true. True, says Reem as well. So Muhammad Faisal says it's true. Musa says it's false. Reem says it's true. All right, let's see. Let's see. It is true. Some people were arrested simply for writing letters or talking about the West. And remember, the woman who confided, she talked secretly to her friend. And then her friend went and reported her to the Stasi. She said, hey, she is talking about her sister in the West. Maybe she wants to run away. Anna or Anya was able to say goodbye to her aunt before the wall was built. She was able to say goodbye to her. Anya, I think, not. What does that mean? Benedict, true. Even to mention the West in a letter was dangerous, and even talking to them to your friends. But absolutely Benedictus. What about this one? Is this a true statement or a false one? Again, from the text that we listened to, from the chapter that we listened to. And today, as I said, we're going to listen to another chapter. Today, we're going to do two chapters. Muhammad Faisal says this is true. This is false. Anna was able to say goodbye to her aunt. So basically, they were living in the same city. True. May something between lines. So basically, Anya or Anna, I don't remember the name exactly. So she was visiting her aunt, Mr. Musa says false. You insisted on false from the beginning. So she visited her aunt, right? And it was in the same city. And when she went back home, the wall was built. Hello, Feroz. Hey, it's been a while. It's been a while. All right, let's see. Let's see. Feroz, unfortunately, it was false. But Feroz, if you stay with us, there is another chapter we're gonna listen to. I think you missed this one. She returned home, and when she returned home, she did not say goodbye to her aunt. When she went home, the wall was built, and they were separated for 28 years. Next question. What separated families when the wall was built? So what separated them? Distance, concrete and wire, war, or natural borders like a river or a mountain? What separated them? Was it distance? Was it concrete and wire? Or was it war? Or was it a natural border? Where have you been, Feroz? It's been a while since you visited us on a wall. I love this very straightforward answer. Like, a wall. We're talking about a wall. Okay, let me do like this so that it's clearer for you guys. B. War. Feroz says. Feroz, we're talking about the Berlin Wall. So, it was concrete and wire. Or a wall. So, concrete means the wall or means cement. But wire, it means this. So this is wire. This is barbed wire. We put it on the top of the wall so that no one can cross. What Berliners, meaning people in the East, from doing? It prevented them from working, from visiting their family in the West, from shopping, or from writing letters. Concrete. Exactly, you bet. War. Not war. Families were strictly separated by concrete and wire. Exactly. Exactly. And I showed you a picture of wire. B. So let me check. I'm going to rush this one a little bit. What did the grandmother from the West Berlin, or why did the grandmother from West Berlin cry during her visit to East Berlin? You remember there was a woman who lived in the West. The West was heaven. Everything was good in the West. She managed to get a little permit, a little paper to be allowed to visit the East, to visit her grandchildren. And when she did, she cried. Why did she cry? Was it because she lost the permit? She was afraid of the Stasi, of the police. She did not know when she would see her kids again, or she didn't bring any gifts. A, B, C, or D. Exactly, Reem. Yeah, it's more exactly or more specifically, Cold War. But physically, it was the wall. C, B, meaning she was afraid of the Stasi. So if you stay with us, we are gonna listen to another chapter today. I want to treat you to a second chapter today. B, she hugged her children. So was she afraid of the Stasi? I mean, hey, where have you been? She didn't. Okay, so I think most of you guys agree on C. I see Feroz B. It was because she hugged them, she saw them, but she didn't know when she will see them again. So she started crying. She was not afraid of the Stasi. She did not lose her permit. And she brought some gifts for them. What did some East Berliners do to stay connected with their families in the West? They were separated by a wall. What did they do? Smuggled notes in cakes, wrote letters without fear, so just wrote letters and say, okay, I'm not afraid of the Stasi. Used hidden tunnels, hidden like underground tunnels. The Stasi could not open expensive gifts. You're doing great, Feroz. You're doing great. All right, let's see. It was A. They put the letters inside of cakes. So they said, hey, Mr. Police Officer, I just want to send this cake to my family in the West. And when the others want to cut the cake, they will find some letters inside of the cake. Oopsie. So so the answer was already there. I'm sorry for you. How long did the one woman wait to see her brother again? 28 years. 28 years. Okay. So now for the second listening. So we are going to listen for the second time. But before we listen for the second time, we listen to the second chapter, I want to show you a very moving video. This is a little video. It was of a soldier. This was a member of the Stasi that we are talking about. He jumped, I'm not sure if it's clear for you, but he jumped from East Berlin to West Berlin. So even the Stasi, the police, were running away. They were also running away. So you can see that he threw away his weapon, he threw away his gun, and he jumped the wire. You can see the wire. He jumped West Berlin. So East Berlin was not was not Stasi themselves. Even the Stasi could not bear East Berlin. Yeah, so it was very, very difficult. It's logical. Okay. All right. So ready for the second listening? I hope you are. So again, three rules. Listen carefully because I'm gonna answer some questions. Feiruz, this is your chance to to answer some correct questions. B, if you don't understand the word, let me know. I will explain it for you. And finally, this is a little favor to ask for, which is to play more and more people, and like there are more people who are here to enjoy our live streams with us. I want to remind you again, this is our channel WooEnglish. You are watching this live stream on it. We have reached 300,000, by the way. And our idea is learning English based on videos. And the whole video is 2 hours. You have the audio and you have the video, the text. It like to see pronunciation and stuff. So we're going to listen to the next chapter. So let's see how the Berlin Wall fell down. How did
the cracks that began in the system had turned into a collapse. The people had won. Chapter 10. A Night to Remember. November 9th, 1989. It started as an ordinary day in Berlin. People went to work, children went to school. The wall still stood as it had for almost 30 years. But by nightfall, everything changed. It began with a press conference. A government official in East Berlin announced new rules. He said that East Germans would soon be allowed to travel freely. The reporters were confused. When does this begin? So listen, they were not allowed to send pictures. They were not allowed to send letters. But now they told them, hey, now you can travel. Interesting. One of them asked. The official hesitated. Then he said the word that would change history. Immediately. His answer spread like wildfire. Within minutes, East Berliners heard the news. It didn't seem real. Could it be true? Could they finally cross the border? Crowds began to form at the wall. And you know, if they cross the border, hundreds of people came at first, then thousands. They pushed forward, demanding to be let through. The guards didn't know what to do. They hadn't received orders. The wall was supposed to keep people in. But now, the people were demanding freedom. The guards called their commanders, asking for instructions. The commanders didn't know what to say. The pressure was building. Finally, at 11:30 p.m., the guards opened the gates. The first people stepped into West Berlin, unsure of what would happen. But instead of being
So
stopped, they were greeted with cheers.
some people started crossing to West Berlin. After all these years, some people started crossing. Very interesting.
West Berliners hugged them, clapped, and shouted, "Welcome!" Soon, more and more people crossed. Some walked, some ran. Families reunited with tears and laughter. Friends hugged tightly, unable to believe it was real. One woman, Greta, crossed the border holding her granddaughter's hand. Her daughter was waiting on the other side. They hadn't seen each
Can you imagine? There was a woman with her grandkid or a little child with her mother for 10 years.
other in over 10 years. When they embraced, the crowd around them clapped and cheered. The wall was no longer a barrier. People climbed on top of it, celebrating together. They waved flags, danced, and sang. The cold November night was filled with warmth and joy. A young man named Lucas stood on the wall with his guitar. He strummed a simple tune and began to sing. Others joined him, their voices echoing through the streets. "Freedom," they sang. "Freedom at last." Some brought hammers and chisels to the wall. They began chipping away at the concrete. With each strike, they felt a sense of victory. An older man swung his hammer with all his strength. He had lived in East Berlin his entire life. "I never thought I would see this day," he said, tears in his eyes. "This wall stole so much from us, but tonight we take it back." Pieces of the wall fell to the ground. People collected the fragments, holding them like treasures. Each piece was a symbol of the end of an era. The celebration
Yeah, so it was a wall that stopped people for over 20 years. So people were very happy that they had to keep a piece of the wall.
continued through the night. In West Berlin, streets filled with people waving banners and drinking champagne. Strangers hugged each other. Children danced in the streets. In East Berlin, people celebrated too. For the first time, they felt hope. A man named Peter walked across the border with his wife and son. He stopped to look back at the wall, then turned to his wife. "It's over," he whispered. "We're free." The news spread around the world. Television screens showed images of the wall coming down.
Sorry, I didn't see some of the questions, so no more depression. Yeah, this chapter will be a happy one. Why were they greeted? So greet someone is to greet them, like to hug them, because they haven't seen each other for many years. A chisel is a tool that we use with the hammer. So a chisel, we put it like this, and then we hammer it to the wall. Era is a period, a long period of time. So an era is a long period of time. Sorry, I didn't see it. I was checking for you some pictures. Before we continue, let me show you some pictures. So this is a picture of the wall after falling, and this is very, very, very recent. It seems like it's very old. No, it's quite recent. It's the 1980s. So this is the wall. So this is East Berlin. This is West Berlin, and this is the wall. It has fallen finally, and this is a man trying to drop the wall. So they were hammering, chisel and the hammer. And finally, you can see here some pieces of the wall being taken away. So here is a piece of the wall. It was like the wall was being taken down. So you can see that it was opened finally after more than 2D. So
Paris,
let's go back to the
London,
text.
and New York, people gathered to watch. They cheered for Berlin, for freedom, and for the end of the Cold War. One headline read, "The Wall Falls. The World Unites." Leaders from around the world reacted with amazement. U.S. President George H.W. Bush called it a victory for freedom. German Chancellor Helmut Kohl promised to work toward uniting Germany. But the most important voices were those of ordinary people. They were the ones who had fought for this moment. For Berliners, it wasn't just the wall that fell. It was the fear, the pain, and the division that had ruled their lives for so long.
Exactly. It wasn't just concrete and stone that fell down. It was fear. It was oppression. It was sadness. It was separation. All of these things fell with the wall of
A
Berlin.
woman named Anna stood near Checkpoint Charlie, watching the crowds. She thought of her parents, who had passed away before the wall came down.
Unfortunately, imagine this. Imagine you were separated from your family members and they died before the wall was taken down. How sad
They
is
would
that?
have been so happy to see this, she said quietly. Nearby, a group of children played. They didn't understand the full meaning of the night, but they could feel the joy in the air. One little boy laughed as he climbed on a piece of the broken wall. His father smiled and said, "You're climbing on history." As the night went on, Berliners shared stories, memories, and dreams. They talked about the years of separation, the loved ones they had lost, and the future they hoped to build. One man from the East said, "I haven't seen my brother in 25 years. Tomorrow I'll visit him." His eyes filled with tears. "I can't wait to see his face." Another woman from the West said, "We've waited so long for this. Now we can finally be one city again." For decades,
A decade.
the wall had stood as a symbol of division. Now it became a symbol of unity. By sunrise, the wall was covered with graffiti, flowers, and handprints. The pieces of concrete were no longer cold and gray. They were colorful and alive. Berliners began to clear the rubble together. East and West worked side by side, rebuilding their city. That night, November 9th, 1989, was more than just the fall of a wall. It was the end of an era. The Cold War, which had divided the world for so long, was finally coming to an end. But for the people of Berlin, it was personal. It was the night their city became whole again. A young woman named Clara held a piece of the wall in her hand. She smiled as she looked at the crowds. "This is more than concrete," she said. "It's proof that hope can win." Her friend nodded. "And that walls can fall." That night was a celebration of freedom. It was a night to remember. Chapter 11.
Right. So that was the end of the chapter that we wanted to focus on. So 2 chapters that we did today. So how great is that? Let's see if you guys were following closely, if you were paying attention. Questions. Rubble. Rubble is what is left after a wall falls down, right? Rubble. Rubble. Let me show you a picture of rubble. So rubble, when a wall falls down, what's left is rubble. This is rubble. So this is rubble of a wall, right? It's the remains of a wall after it falls. Almost 40 years. Is this true or is this false, says Faisal? So it was built in what year? 1961, and it fell down in what year? So false. Amin says false. 1998, 89, exactly. Yes, exactly. I mean, almost 30 years. Yeah. All right. This is false. So it stood for almost 30 years, not 40 years. The guards immediately opened the gates on the night of November the 9th, 1989. The guards directly or immediately opened the gates. What's the meaning of rubble? I just understood it. I just explained it. All right, let me explain this once more. Or if you destroy a building, if you destroy a house, what's left? That's rubble. Let me show you. This is rubble. This is rubble, Dream. Okay, this is rubble. So if you destroy a house, it becomes rubble. If you destroy a wall, if a wall falls down, it becomes rubble. Oops, not this one. This one. So this one is false. Guards hesitated. It wasn't open until 11:30 at night. So all the day they were hesitating. Should we open the doors? Should we open the gates or should we not? Families often couldn't see each other due to the wall. This is something from last session, by the way. So you guys got it clear. It's debris, exactly. It's like debris. That's exactly it. They didn't get instructions from generals, so they waited exactly. They were hesitant because they did not have any instructions. Feroz, I think now you are getting questions correct because you were here and you listened. False. Yes, got it. Okay. It's more than often, but so is it true, Amin, or no? Often couldn't see each other due to the wall. I will reveal. 3, 2, 1. This is true. The wall physically separated them. Well, actually, they could see each other, but they could not like interact with each other. People began chipping away the wall during the celebration. They began destroying the wall. Is this true or is this false? True. So they started using hammers and chisels. And let me see if I can find you a good picture of a chisel. All right. So this is a hammer and this is a chisel, right? So this is a hammer and this is a chisel. So people started using hammers and chisels to destroy the wall. The announcement of new travel rules was made by a high-ranking officials. It all started when they announced, hey, there are some new rules for traveling. Now you can cross the line. You can cross the wall. And that's where it started. But who announced that? Was it high-ranking officials or was it low-ranking? Was it generals, people at the top or people at the bottom? I'm confused because not only the wall. Such a baffling question. Which one? Is it this one? True, true. They made a lot of rumble. This is from the previous one. So the rule that people can now cross between the west and the east, was it made by the top officials or by the bottom, by like people that are very low, by normal soldiers? If it's very confusing to you, I'm gonna okay. Let me see. Faisal says true. Arim says true. Okay. Yes. So it was. It was not high ranking. It was not the top. It was like small ones. Why? Because these soldiers, they could not make a decision by themselves. So this means that the decision came from the top, not from the bottom. When did the Berlin Wall fall? Very good, Feroz. You are getting more and more questions correct. When did the Berlin Wall fall? I think for this one, I need to zoom in a little bit like this. Yeah, this is, I think, better. Amin says A, 1989. 1989, St. Benedictus. Good. Benedictus and Dream and Faisal, where are you guys from? Because I think this is the first time you guys are visiting this live stream. I know the others. I know Feiruz. I know Amin. I know Musa. But you guys, I think this is your first time here. So where are you joining us from? From Iraq for Faisal. But I think this is not the first time then, if I'm not mistaken. From Ukraine for Benedictus. All right. What about Reem? I love to see where our viewers are from. Yes, it was 1989. What event triggered the fall of the Berlin Wall? So, what was the? How did it start? Was it a large-scale protest? People protesting? Was it a government press conference announcing new travel rules? What is a new rule for travel? A military decision? Was it just the military? They said, okay, we don't care anymore. Let's open the borders. Or was it a sudden attack on the wall? Like people suddenly attacked the wall. Which one was it? A, B, C, or D? Amin says it's B. Reem is a little bit late. Musa says A, large scale protest. Okay. What was the first event that started all of this? Faisal says it's B, new government rules, new traveling rules. Reem, what about you? Where are you joining us from? Feiruz says B. So I think Feiruz, you did a great job today. You did a great job today. All right, I'm gonna share the answer. It's B. Musa says it's A, and Musa is actually correct as well. So basically, what happened in the morning, there was new traveling rules. That was the event that triggered, that started everything. But then there was a protest next to the wall. At what time did the guard open the gates to West Berlin? When did they open the gates? Was it at 10 p.m., at midnight, meaning 12 at night, 11:30, or 9 p.m.? Egyptian forum for okay, I see. Welcome. I think you are the first Egyptian, if I'm not mistaken, to follow us. CBC. Okay. It was C, actually. They opened it at 11. I actually said this before. How did West Berliners react when East Berliners crossed the border? They protested against the border. They said, we don't want them. Keep them behind the walls. They ignored them. They said, okay, I don't care. You crossed the border. All right. They demanded stricter. They said, hey, you need to close that wall. Or they welcomed them with cheers, hugs, and celebrations. Very clear one, actually. Says the I think Kareem means the previous one. Okay. B. They ignored them. They said, okay, we don't care about you. Really? No, they welcomed them and they hugged them. And you said it. You asked me a question. You said, why is greet? They greeted them with hugs and with smiles and with celebrations. What symbolic act did people perform as the wall came down? When the wall fell down, when the Berlin Wall fell down, what did they do? They wrote letters to the government. They collected pieces of the wall. They burned sections of the wall. They built a new wall. Which one? The last one is crazy, to be honest. Which one? Amin says B. They collected pieces of the wall. Faisal agrees with Amin. Okay, you mean the previous one? D. They built a new wall. Come on. They collected pieces of the wall. I think Kareem and Musa are a little bit late, probably, in watching the video. Last one. I think this is the last question. I think. Oopsie. I. All right. Okay. I already revealed this one, unfortunately. So, what did the graffiti, flower, and handprints on the wall symbolize? It was unity and new beginnings. And I liked a sentence from the text that says as well. The wall was gray, no color, no life. Then people started drawing on the wall. So just to we wanna live. I want to change the last question. What stuck with you? I don't like this question, so I'm going to change it right in front of you. What is the lesson from the Berlin Wall? What is the lesson that we can take from the story that we have just read? So what is the lesson? Right. What is the lesson? I want to make it red from the Berlin Wall. I want to make it underlined. All right. So what is the lesson that we can take from this story? Let me share with you the. It's gone. Let me share with you. Yeah. So what is the lesson that we can take from the story of the Berlin Wall? Can anyone share with us something? For me, I will tell you, for example, for me, I think the Berlin Wall is is the lesson, or the lesson from the Berlin Wall is that you should always keep hope, because after 28 years, the wall fell down because people never gave up. What about you guys? Can you tell me what is the lesson that you took from this story that we have just read? Okay, nice. We shouldn't we should never give up, as each cloud has a civil line. After night comes the day. Exactly. After the night, there is always the day. Big civilians crowd have a bigger chances to make the guardians hesitate. I like that one. This one is more specific. Musa, value of freedom and families. I completely love this one. I really like this one. Because these people, why didn't they lose hope? Because they always believed that they will see their families one day. So they never give up. Feiruz, protect your country and stay in union and never divide. Exactly. People in the East and the West, they always stayed loyal, they stayed connected. Even when they were separated by a wall, they stayed connected. I mean, freedom. I mean, elaborate. I always like your elaboration, so I want you to elaborate. I wanted to elaborate. I mean, always gives us like very interesting sentences. So today you are you gave me one word and I didn't like that. I'm not satisfied. You should give me a full sentence. The rest of you guys, come on. I see 15 people watching. So I want you guys to try, even if your sentence is full of mistakes, it's okay. Try to write something, and we will discuss it. We will improve it if you like. Don't give up on yourself as well, right? Don't say, well, I English is too difficult, I cannot learn it. No, you can learn it and you will learn it here. There you go. I mean, union and freedom and the brotherhood keep the country at top levels in many things. Sure, life is shared. Exactly. Yeah. So now that we reached the end of this live stream, let me share with you our channel. So this is our channel, WooEnglish. Our channel is dedicated to learning English through videos or through stories. So learning English through stories. This is our channel, or this is the main idea of our channel. And every day, every single day, we post a like long videos, and our videos are actual videos. They have audio and text, so they will be very big topics. You can see here we have Barack Obama, we have the Cold War, we have Khalid ibn al-Walid, we have Berlin, we have Angela Merkel, we have Charles III, we have a lot of even the story of Syria. And each video, as you can see, is more than 1 hour long. There are some videos that are 2 hours, like Galileo, for example. You can read the text as well. And if you be one of our special people, you can click the join. So you can subscribe, of course. Subscription is for free. But if you want to subscribe with the like paid monthly fee, that will be more than we will be more than happy. So this is like less than $1, right? This is half a dollar, basically. This is half a dollar. So for half a dollar, you can get like videos without any ads. You can get like you can download, so support us. So there are different basically different memberships. So in some memberships, you can even download the PDF and download the videos, right? And get access to exclusive videos that not everyone can see, and also ad-free videos. You will not be looking at some like this subscription. It's basically uh, uh, $30 or €30. So for €30, you can download the MP3 or the story, download the PDF. Otherwise, if you can, like you can help us simply by, or you can support us simply by liking the video that you are watching and enjoy the content for free. Let me see what you guys are saying here. There is light after all the darkness. 28 years of darkness, and then there was light. And the same thing happened in Syria. So Syria, they have been suffering for more than 14 years now. But now they are finally free. You should use a strong concrete as that's a good lesson, by the way. You should build your wall with a very strong concrete, so that people, even if they are united, they can never tear it down. That's a very good one. And with this, our power is in our union. With this beautiful sentence from Feiruz, we come to the end of this live stream. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Thank you for the interaction. I hope you liked this video. I hope you enjoyed your time with us. Thank you for staying till the end, 1 hour, 20 minutes, and you guys stayed here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will see you on Tuesday. So we stream every Tuesday and Friday. So Tuesday, I will see you guys. Take care of yourself, enjoy your weekend, and